Hey guys, it's Jeremy.
This is the Sanctuary Movement. The Sanctuary Movement began as both a political and religious campaign in the early 1980s. During this time, Central American countries such as El Salvador and Guatemala had a lot of civil conflict going on, and people began seeking asylum in the U.S. They were largely denied, which led a pastor in Tucson, Arizona, to offer immigrants a safe place in the basement of his church. Today, churches, universities, and cities can name themselves as a sanctuary for immigrants. The first person to declare a sanctuary was a reverend named John Fife in Tucson in 1980. Fife learned of immigrants fleeing civil wars in their home countries and crossing the border into Tucson. These individuals were seeking asylum, but were largely denied because they were told they were seeking better life and better jobs, which is not reason enough to seek asylum. He began sneaking them into his church basement and housing them there. He said, "I assumed this was illegal, but I could not claim to be a Christian and not be involved in trying to protect refugees' lives." Fife went public with this movement in an attempt to gain support, which was successful as cities and universities began to follow. It was highly controversial and spoke about in the media frequently.
When one group of migrants nearly died crossing the border near Tucson, a local minister named John Fife got involved.
They told me about death squads. They told me about people who had been kidnapped and tortured. These were middle-class folks who were fleeing for their lives.
Fife started helping migrants apply for political asylum, but he quickly ran into a problem. The government said they were economic migrants in search of better jobs.
They come here for better life. They come here for better jobs. But that doesn't entitle them to asylum.
We'd take in people who had torture marks all over their body, and the immigration judge would order them deported the next day.
Fife and a small group decided to take matters into their own hands, sneaking migrants across the border and hiding them in churches.
I assumed it was illegal, but I could not claim to be a Christian and not be involved in trying to protect refugees' lives.
One of the refugees was Patty Barcelo. American church workers took her family.
So that was a video from this past week's reading, and now we're going to move on.
So, as it turns out, Fife was right. He and 5 others were charged in 1986 for illegally harboring undocumented immigrants in what became known as the Sanctuary Trials. They were eventually let off easy and avoided prison time because it was hard to charge them, as the laws regarding sanctuary churches have always been a kind of legal gray area. According to the Department of Justice, sanctuary churches are probably legal. Regarding sanctuary cities, the jurisdictions that purposefully withhold information from the federal government are operating legally within their own rights. But the federal government doesn't like that they're being ignored. So, as a political stab at the sanctuary cities, the Department of Justice gained the right in court to withhold funding from cities that don't cooperate with them. This capability was passed last month on February 26th, so we'll have to see how this affects the cities during the ongoing pandemic. So as you can see, on the left, we have the deportations over a 19-year period from 2000 to 2018, and on the right, we have the number of sanctuary policies over the same period. Surprisingly, sanctuary policies went up during the Obama administration, then spiked during the beginning of the Trump administration, obviously. Obama eventually turned against sanctuary cities around 2016, which could explain an increase as a backlash to his sentiments. The spike during the Trump administration is obvious given his anti-immigration rhetoric and policies.
And then this is one of the more recent maps of the sanctuary locations in the U.S. So officially there are 171 sanctuary cities and counties in the U.S. spread across 27 different states, including Colorado. States can identify as a sanctuary, and then cities, counties, and institutions like universities and churches may follow. The anti-sanctuary movement began at the state level in 2009 as backlash to the pro-sanctuary movement from the 1980s. Anti-sanctuary states can make it illegal for law officials to not cooperate with immigration and customs enforcement and can penalize institutions who offer sanctuary policies. Florida became the 12th state to officially ban sanctuary cities in 2019.
So, sanctuary policies will depend on who's elected this election cycle. Currently, we see the impact of anti-immigration reform on sanctuary policies. So, if Trump is reelected, we can assume a further increase in such policies. On the other hand, if Biden is elected, it is unclear what his stance is on immigration at this time. If we look at Biden's views in 2006, he supported a bill funding the border wall. Now he no longer supports the border wall. Though he does not seem as hardline pro-immigration as Bernie, they're both completely not aligned with Trump. So it is possible that if Biden or Bernie are elected, we could see a leveling out of sanctuary policies. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.